Apple is about to do something it has never fully committed to before. The Face ID hardware is moving under the display. The dynamic island is shrinking dramatically. And the chip powering this device is being built on a process that did not even exist in consumer electronics 2 years ago. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is shaping up to be the most significant hardware leap Apple has made in half a decade. And if you're sitting on an iPhone 13, 14, or even a 15 right now, what you're about to hear changes your entire upgrade calculation. Most people are already talking about the display and the chip, but there is one rumored feature buried inside this lineup that almost nobody is discussing. And it could be the single biggest reason to either buy immediately or wait just a little longer. Let's get into it. Expected pricing for the iPhone 18 Pro Max sits around $1,299 at the base level, potentially climbing to $1,499 for the highest storage configuration. That is a meaningful investment. And whether that number is justified depends entirely on what Apple is actually delivering inside this device. Here is where things get very interesting. The display upgrade is not just cosmetic. Moving Face ID sensors beneath the screen means the dynamic island shrinks to something barely noticeable. You get more usable screen real estate without Apple going to a completely hole-punch design. For anyone who has spent 3 years staring at that pill-shaped cutout, this change alone will feel dramatic in daily use. It is the closest Apple has come to a true full-screen experience on an iPhone. But that is not the biggest change. The A20 Pro chip is built on second-generation 2-nanometer architecture. To put that in real terms, tasks that currently take your iPhone 15 Pro around 8 seconds, such as exporting a 4-minute 4K video clip, are expected to complete in roughly 4 to 5 seconds on the A20 Pro. That is not a marginal improvement. That is the kind of speed difference that changes how you actually work on a phone. For content creators editing short-form video on the go, that improvement alone shifts the entire workflow. Compare that to the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Elite powering the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. In sustained multi-core workloads, early performance projections suggest the A20 Pro will maintain a 15 to 20% efficiency advantage while running cooler under extended load. Apple's thermal management has consistently outperformed Qualcomm in real-world sustained tasks, and that gap appears to be widening with this generation. Most buyers comparing spec sheets are completely missing this distinction. Raw peak performance numbers look similar on paper between flagship Android and Apple devices. But Apple's ability to sustain that performance over 20 to 30 minutes of intensive use, without thermal throttling cutting speeds in half, is where the iPhone 18 Pro Max pulls ahead. For gamers running titles like Genshin Impact or Resident Evil Village at maximum settings, that sustained performance means consistent frame rates rather than stutters that appear after the first 10 minutes of play. Now, let us talk about the battery situation, because this is the detail that matters most for the everyday buyer. Reports consistently point toward a slightly thicker chassis on the iPhone 18 Pro Max, specifically to accommodate a larger battery cell. Estimates suggest capacity could increase by roughly 10 to 12% compared to the iPhone 16 Pro Max. That translates to somewhere between 90 minutes and 2 full hours of additional screen-on time during mixed daily use. If you're currently ending your workday at 15% battery, that improvement is not just convenient. It is the difference between carrying a charger everywhere and leaving it at home. Here is the part that changes everything. The camera system is rumored to introduce variable aperture for the first time in iPhone history. This is not a software trick or a computational photography workaround. Variable aperture means the physical lens opening adjusts mechanically based on lighting conditions. In bright daylight, the aperture closes down for sharper detail and better color accuracy. In low light, it opens wider to pull in significantly more light than a fixed aperture lens ever could. Samsung has experimented with this technology on the Galaxy S24 series, but Apple's implementation combined with the image signal processor inside, the A20 Pro chip old push mobile photography into territory previously reserved for dedicated mirrorless cameras. For professional photographers using their iPhone as a primary creative tool, this is the upgrade they have been waiting for. But wait until you hear what the connectivity improvements could actually mean for real users. Apple's new C2 modem, developed entirely in-house, is expected to deliver substantially improved mmWave 5G reception along with better Wi-Fi 7 integration. In practical terms, users in dense urban environments like New York, London, or Sydney should experience dramatically fewer drop connections and faster sustained download speeds compared to the C1 modem in the iPhone 16 lineup. For remote workers and professionals relying on mobile connectivity during travel, this is not a minor spec improvement. It is a reliability upgrade. Expanded satellite communication features are also expected, potentially adding two-way satellite messaging capabilities beyond the current emergency SOS limitation. That is a feature with real-world safety implications for anyone who travels frequently or works in remote areas. Now here's the one detail most buyers are completely overlooking right now. Apple Intelligence is expected to receive a substantial expansion alongside the iPhone 18 Pro Max launch. The combination of on-device AI processing through the A20 Pro's neural engine and expanded cloud-based Apple Intelligence features could finally deliver the Siri experience Apple promised, but under-delivered on previously. Real-time translation during phone calls, proactive scheduling suggestions based on your actual behavior patterns, and AI-powered photo editing that rivals what you currently need a desktop application to achieve. These are not theoretical features. They're directly enabled by the processing headroom the A20 Pro creates. Google Pixel 9 Pro's Gemini integration has set a high bar for AI functionality on a smartphone. Apple needs to clear that bar with the iPhone 18 Pro Max, and current indications suggest they are building toward exactly that. So after looking at everything, the performance, the price, the competition, here is who should actually make a move right now and who should hold off. If you're on an iPhone 13 or iPhone 14, this upgrade is straightforward. The generational jump in performance, display quality, camera capability, and battery life is significant enough that the investment makes clear financial sense. You are carrying a device that is 3 to 4 years behind current flagship performance. The iPhone 18 Pro Max will feel like a completely different category of product, and it should remain premium for the next 4 to 5 years of software support. That spreads your $1,299 investment across roughly $260 per year of ownership. For a device you use every single hour of every day, that math holds up. If you're on an iPhone 15 Pro or 15 Pro Max, the decision requires more thought. The performance gap exists, but it is not dramatic enough to justify the full cost for casual users. If photography is critical to your work, or if you're a creator or gamer who pushes your device hard every day, the variable aperture camera system and A20 Pro sustained performance make this a worthwhile upgrade. For everyone else in this category, staying put for one more cycle remains a reasonable choice. If you're on an iPhone 16 Pro Max, wait. There is simply no compelling financial argument to upgrade at this stage. The performance delta does not justify the cost, and your device will continue receiving software support and Apple Intelligence updates in parallel. For gamers specifically, the iPhone 18 Pro Max represents the strongest argument for a mobile gaming investment Apple has ever made. Sustained performance, improved thermals, and the A20 Pro's graphics improvements point toward a device that can run next-generation mobile titles at quality levels that genuinely compete with handheld gaming hardware. For content creators, this is a professional tool upgrade. The camera system improvements alone, combined with faster video exports and expanded AI editing features, justify treating this as a productivity investment rather than a consumer purchase. Casual users who primarily browse, message, and stream should consider whether they genuinely need the Pro Max. The standard iPhone 18 or even a current iPhone 16 could serve those needs at a lower price point. The final picture on the iPhone 18 Pro Max is compelling across almost every dimension that matters. Display, performance, camera, battery, and connectivity are all moving forward in ways that create real, measurable value for the right buyer. The question was never whether Apple was going to improve the iPhone. The question was whether this particular generation crosses the threshold that justifies the investment for your specific situation. For most people on a 2 to 3-year-old device, it clearly does. And before you finalize that decision, there is one more incoming development around iPhone 18 pricing and storage tier restructuring that could significantly shift the value calculation. We are covering that in detail very soon.